This next gentleman first arrived at the Academy in 1965 when Jeff was like 10. As an assistant wrestling coach and PE instructor, he later returned to the Academy as the Director of Physical Education and then finished his Air Force career as the Vice Athletic Director from 84 to 87. He took a gamble in 1980 and he hired a 25-year-old First Lieutenant by the name of Jeff Heidmous, who we believe is the youngest head coach in Air Force history. Colonel retired Ed Kliat. I don't know about you, Colonel Kliat, but I would say from looking around this room, and you weren't able to see what happened last night with all the accolades placed on Jeff, but I think you made the right decision. What do you think?
Thank you. It's a real honor for me to be here tonight to talk about this. He's still a young guy, but I used to think that I had a long tenure here at the Air Force Academy. I think I was here for almost 18 years on the staff, and but as you know tonight, that's nowhere near the record that this young guy has set. The only person I can think of that exceeds that, and I'm sure most of you remember this guy, Jim Bowman. He was a former football coach under Ben Martin, and then he headed up the candidate counseling program, so he was responsible for a lot of you guys for being here tonight. The only other person that might come close is Lou Burkle. And he was here for many years. What I would like to do is not, again, sound off on all of Jeff's accomplishments, because you've already kind of heard those. I would just like to talk about Jeff Heidmous, the person that I knew for many years. And you know, when people talk about the Air Force Academy, they always say, oh man, all those great cadets that we've got out there. Believe me, the staff, like Jeff Heidmous and the others, are clearly a part of why this is such a great institution to be connected with. Of course, with Jeff, he was a cadet, he was an instructor, he was a coach, and he was a staff member. So the boy did a little bit of everything, and that's really good. And of course, it was mentioned earlier, the work he did with the rehab of the cadet gymnasium, which was a major undertaking. And he was the main driver on that project. I don't think he's responsible for the flooding that took place just recently. But of course, the other thing that I think has made Jeff so successful in what he's done is sitting right here, the family. And I'm sure that a lot of you don't realize that Barb was formerly an athletic trainer at the Air Force Academy. And she tried her best to get Jim Conboy squared away, but I don't think she got to that goal. Again, now I'd like to just touch on a couple of other things that are kind of totally off subject and on kind of the light side. And I'm sure not many of you here tonight know that Jeff has an alias, Archibald Barisal. Now, Archie was an interesting scenario. you would have a stage like I'm standing on here right now, and it would be covered with like a sheet or a blanket. And it would have a cut in the opening in the top for Archie's head. Archie was not a pretty person. We would put a wig on him, and a long, shaggy, curly wig, and Jeff would put his arms through holes in the sheet, and then someone behind him, and the first Archibald Barisal scenario I'm going to talk about briefly, the stand behind the legs happened to be Mike Gould, the former superintendent. So here's Archibald with his head out, his arms out, and Mike Gould's legs, arms out his legs. And it was at a Wednesday football game luncheon. And up front we had the head table with the soup and the comm and the dean and all of those folks out there. And Jeff was behind the curtain. Well, Mike put a football. Archibald was supposed to be a recruited kicking specialist. And Mike put a ball out in front of Archibald. And he kicked the ball. It took off, landed on the head table, true story, and rolled into Mrs. Scott's plate. And at the time we thought, Mrs. Scott, the former superintendent's wife, and we thought, oh my goodness, Jeff's in trouble again. But when she went, we knew we were all safe. The only other thing I want to mention, and Jeff is the water polo coach, and of course he took a lot of trips out to the West Coast. And I'll never forget, after one of the return trips, I had a call from one of the sergeants up in the audio-visual department. And he said, Colonel, he said, one of your coaches brought some pictures up here that he wanted developed. And he says, I'm not sure we're going to be able to develop these. He said, you might want to come up here and check these out. Well, I went up there, and here was this picture of about a whole water polo team, and they were in this rocky area on the beach somewhere. Some of you guys might be here tonight. Well, they were all mooning. And I saw this thing, and I said, yeah, I guess maybe we put that on hold. But I went back and I said, Jeff, which one of those guys is you? He said he was not in the picture. Oh, yeah, he took the picture. Well, that's enough of that. You heard all of his good accomplishments, and hope I've given you a little bit of insight on the lighter side of having Jeff Heidmous on your staff. And quite frankly, it was a privilege for me to have him as a staff member and as a friend. I think it might be appropriate if everyone stood up and clapped for Jeff Heidmous.